Hello, Amy.
Hi, Jamie. How are ya?
Good. How are you today?
Very good, thank you.
I always love this time. I got to do my little
Okay.
happy dance. Hey, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. We are rolling right through this series. We're on episode 11. And our topic today is what it means to be authentic.
Yeah,
Woo! We're going to unpack that.
it's gonna need some unpacking.
It is, and we were kind of discussing like what there's so many things we could talk about, and we get so excited about all these things. And I think the reason why we wanted to unpack this or explore this topic is we're hearing this a lot. Like it's good to be strong and authentic and all these like cool buzzwords. And so we wanted to just really take a deeper dive and look at what it means to be authentic, defining it, exploring it, and being curious about it.
Yeah,
Let's go, girl.
let's go.
And friends, think with us. It's
Yeah.
exciting.
Hopefully, it will just be an opportunity for us to kind of give our opinion or our 2 cents about what authentic is, because I really think that we've been paying attention.
Yeah.
When you think about us getting the opportunity to be with 20,000 plus people and leaning, like you said, we hear this a lot.
Yeah.
It's we have our own really strong, I think, intentional opinions of what it means for ourselves to be authentic, but we also have kind of this gallery of experiences and questions and discovery from other people. So hopefully that comes together in a beautiful, like, I don't know, montage or
Yeah.
tapestry of what authentic means, and more importantly what it can mean, so that whoever's listening with us can be like you said, curious and tapping in to
Yeah,
their
for
own
sure.
understanding for themselves. Yeah.
Well, so what do you think it means?
um like in a poetic way, I think it's like true to yourself.
Hmm.
Now, what that actually means is, I think for me, always kind of moving. I mean, some things are. I honor myself, I would say. Like, there's a core to me that, as I have gotten wiser and more confident, there's some things that are not variations. So, kindness to me is not a variation. Doesn't mean that I'm always kind,
Yes,
but when I'm outside of kindness, it does not feel authentic to me.
I love
Doesn't.
that. Yeah.
Um, so there's certain fundamental truths that are true for me to feel authentic,
Mhm.
and so I would wonder if that's not true for everybody. That there's like certain nature or essence to each of us that's like, no, I know that's me.
Yeah, like we all kind of, we could have a tendency to have our core values, like
Yes.
things that we hold on to. So I hear you. I love the being fluid component to that. But there
Yeah.
are some things I agree with you. Like I have core values that I'm super solid in,
Yeah.
like
Absolutely.
that they don't seem flexible. But
Yeah.
so yeah, I hear you. I like
But
that.
I'm kind of you know me so well. I'm kind of quirky that way, because as much as I would say there's like those that true essence of me, I give myself permission to grow and change, and it's like my prerogative kind of thing. Like I want to be able to grow and define myself as I grow and not be locked into this is Amy. So for me to be authentic, it's both. It's
I love that.
for my essence to be honored, but also to be able to grow and say what I like along the way. And so I don't know. What do you think?
I agree. I like that. I would say that it is, yeah, it reminds me a lot of our confidence conversations, like, and maybe that's what's my authentic self is confidence, but being proud of who you are, being okay with honoring that true self in any instance. So it's like I hear that, like, well, I don't think they're very authentic, whether that was like a shady compliment that was just given, or but maybe that's their authentic self. So it's like I'm excited to unpack it a little bit with you today too, because I think I had this confidence with the definition of it, but even as you're talking and like, well, how would what would be my perception of that, and how would that vary in what you're saying? And so I feel like I have the core values, but they're coming from a really loving space. But do those waver in instances? Well, sure. I mean, it depends on the situation. So I don't know that I had a lot of really concrete words that just happened just now because I think I'm just
I think that's
figuring it out in
I
my
think that's
mind.
exactly why it's intriguing to us to unpack this word.
Yes.
Because it's not a Merriam dictionary kind of word. And yet right now there is, and especially in professional spaces.
I'm actually going to look it up really quick. Keep talking.
Okay. In professional spaces, people are really leaning into how do we be courageous enough to be authentic? And I think if our kids can lean into being authentically themselves, that seems like a good thing too. But what is this elusive unicorn that we're talking about, And if we could all get on at least the same understanding of what we're talking about, maybe we could have a great conversation about it.
Sure.
So,
So
okay, give us yeah.
as an adjective, it says of undisputed origin, just genuine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The real deal.
Made or done in the traditional or original way, or in a way that faithfully resembles an original. Okay.
Those are two different things at the same time. Sorry.
I know. So sorry. Yeah. So it's reliable, accurate, just some other things that it's saying.
So when I think about authenticity,
Genuine is like the root of the word in the Greek.
Yeah. So there's a couple things that come into my mind that I think we could maybe like unpack two different directions. So I'm not sure where this will go. Let's do it. So one of them is that when you talk about being part of the original, there's a little bit of confusion for my own mind there. Because I am the original, right? I am me. I'm going to unpack and understand and discover me. But I also need to be true to where I come from and the organizations, the families I'm a part of. And so how do I be authentic and be myself and that, so there's that whole thing. So we can talk about that.
Sure. And can I just add to that? Yeah. I think that really goes well with what we talked about in our last episode, and that, and really embracing that everybody has a story. So at the origin, at the root of each person, even especially for ourselves, like there's a story there. So I'm hearing you and I'm loving that. Like how you were raised, like what you're, just your story from when you were little to growing. So I want to just,
and then the story that we all start to adapt with. I'm a part of this school community. I'm a part of this team. I'm a part of this. So being authentic to ourselves, even though we're part of these other stories.
Yes.
And then I think what the other like crazy thought in my brain is none of this conversation is possible without the tool set of self-care and self-discovery and those intrapersonal skills. And so I think part of why there's this big question mark on what authenticity is because if I say to you, I'm going to get fit, those are measurables. We could, we all have an idea in our mind. It might vary person to person what that idea is, but we don't, I don't say I'm going to eat healthy and you go, well, that is lovely. Here's a chocolate cake to help encourage you on your journey. We know what that means. Yeah. If I say I'm going to get strong, you just like imagine like lifting weights or doing yoga or, we know what those things are. But when I say I'm going to be authentic, if I don't have the assumption of I'm going to get curious, I'm going to discover, I'm going to step into my confidence. I know what that means. I have some practices in place to help me be more resilient. All of that stuff, everything we teach, it's really hard to like look at someone else's idea of what being authentic is and even know what you're shooting for.
Absolutely. It's so subjective and individualized
Yeah.
based off of that person. So it is really interesting to think about how that word's used so often, and hopefully at the root of it there's no judgment with it, because it is based off of that individual's essence.
Yes. So when we do our workshops, I'm thinking through like how interactive they are. And the reason that they're interactive is because we can't give somebody their want to, right? They have to tap
Right.
into themselves.
To feel
We
that.
can't tell somebody I am. I mean, you could say to somebody all day long, you're awesome, you're smart, you're fast, you're fun, and if somebody doesn't believe those true for them,
Right.
doesn't do any good. Um, that was really intelligent sentence. Doesn't do any good. But I'm just saying, like it's just like you can't just do positive affirmations. They have to be yours. They have to be believable. Um, we've talked about noticing and teaching how to notice, and like you have to do it in a way that's authentic to you. So the
Yeah, because
kindergarten teacher doesn't notice the same way as the high school
sure,
shop
sure.
teacher
It
because
just
it would be
doesn't make
creepy.
any sense. Yeah, it'd be creepy.
Right. It'd be creepy. Right.
Let me
So
tie your shoe, you sweet little high schooler.
yeah, or wipe your nose.
You just get that right there.
Oh no bodily fluids right now. We can't talk about that. But so yeah, thinking through like what when we're doing our workshop, we talk about receiving, we say just simply say thank you. But then we also say, and if you need to say something else, or if you
Yeah,
were looking at the individual, how does the individual receive? And then you are the rock in your ripple, assuming you're going to make your own unique mark on the world and your own unique impact. And
and
so
doing that in your own way, for sure. We definitely
yeah,
do use that language often.
we do. So what could we like to keep going forward with this conversation, make the assumption that authenticity is unique to each individual?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely. And I think that's our intention for using it in the training, because again, like my way wouldn't necessarily be your way or someone else's way. So accepting that, acknowledging that, and that's like a lot of our prayer conversations really lend itself to that, knowing
Yeah.
that you're enough, that you
Yeah.
matter, that your authentic self creates value in any situation, and same with that person in front of you or multiple people in front of you. So it's
Yeah.
just kind of navigating that. And so really it's a lot of embracing your own story and who your authentic self is really kind of what we're trying to get to today. And
Yeah.
I think of it as maybe it's, we just had that call. We just had a call with our youth advisory, and you've got high school students in particular, and I have a middle schooler, and I just think that age, like getting to know yourself, and when you're navigating situations, and whether you're feeling self-destructive or arrogant or confident, and how you're navigating those conversations, I think this idea of being your authentic self is just so huge. And I just think learning you is huge. And I'm just like visualizing these kids and adults like navigating through any situation, and how this is so prominent.
Mhm.
I just want to put people in my pocket, because when you're still figuring that out, which if you're still growing and learning, you are. So it's, gosh, it's an interesting dynamic. And when we have all these new variables in our world right now, figuring out where you fit in that, or how you feel, and giving yourself space to breathe and to understand those feelings, and getting true to you. And then so then you can show up being your authentic self, and what that looks like. So I'm just like, my mind's going in all these different directions, thinking about people, and I guess my empathy is like kicking in there.
Yeah. All
Yeah.
the variations.
Yes, for
And
sure.
I think it's like there's I love learning from mentors and people who've done it before me or whatever. And I definitely think that in my life, I have gained way more than I can even quantitate by other people who've been successful before me.
Sure.
But I think there is a fine line that I can cross where I start to lose me trying to emulate what I think would work. And so I'm thinking about that conversation that we had with our youth advisory, and something we didn't really unpack with them that day. And I wish we would have, hopefully we can next time, was that kind of knowing yourself well enough. Like, it might be a goal to know yourself well enough to know when you cross that line and you're taking the advice of someone else over not being yourself. And there's this simple example I have for it. It's not a dangerous example. It's really simple. So when I type the word amazing, I type it in all caps. I don't know why. To be honest, you could unpack that for me and tell me what's psychologically when I do that. I don't know.
Oh, I just
Tell
quickly
me
think you're going big. Like, it's when you
I'm so
capitalize
big.
things, it's like bold. You're making sure it's heard.
It's how I feel about the word. And so over time, with my businesses and my business ventures, I've hired different people to give me their opinion on how I should do things. And I've been told by multiple people not to do that it doesn't look professional, I could do that on my personal posts, but it just doesn't, what's the reason for it?
Oh,
And I'm like, yeah, I don't really know. And I start to wane from feeling confident about doing that.
okay.
And
Because
then
because
if
you've
I
got that
post,
outside influence.
yes.
Okay. I hear you.
So here's me. I don't really know why, but my natural proclivity is to all caps the word amazing.
Feels good to you.
It just feels good to me. Is it hurting anyone? No, not that I'm aware of. Is it helping anyone? I don't know. It's truly like just something I want to do. And I could take the advice, and in some cases I do. If I'm writing a professional article, I think through it differently than if I'm typing out a quick Instagram post.
Sure.
But when I don't capitalize amazing, all caps, it does not feel right to me. It just
Okay.
doesn't. Now, there's times I choose not to do it. Okay, so maybe I just spent 3 minutes giving a
Oh, it's
silly
good.
example,
I like this
but
example.
it can't hurt, and the example can't hurt anybody. And the reason I'm using the example is because sometimes when we talk about authenticity and we're doing self-discovery, we can't help but talk about the moments where we've been vulnerable. And I don't want to hit anybody's triggers. And on the call with our kids, our youth advisory the other day, we were talking about, friendships and navigating exciting things and hard things. And all those things have their own triggers and everybody with their own story. I don't want to do that. So we're going to use my silly example of capitalizing the word amazing for just a second.
But you could, yeah, you could go. That's why my mind was kind of going there because
You can
I have
you
that
can kind of
empathy.
see it. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I don't know that I will ever get unfamous or famous because of capitalizing the letters in the word amazing. But I do know the difference between it feeling like that's me and it feeling like that's not me.
So that if we look at even just the definition at the root of the word is just being genuine.
Being genuine.
That feels genuine to you, that you want that word to feel prominent.
Yeah. And you know why? I don't use that word unless I'm talking about people. So in a post I recently did for the Notice Network, I said, our amazing social media expert, Haley, had a conversation with the amazing Sarah Barnaby. And I meant it. I didn't mean they're kind of great. I
Sure.
meant they're amazing. And
Yeah.
that's how I
Big.
use the word. They're big. It's big. And so their awesomeness is too awesome to just like keep it in all lowercase. So
Go
I
girl.
don't have to, at the end of the day, nobody else cares about that, right? No, it does not affect the rest of the world, probably. Well, hopefully it affected those two people or
In an
everybody who's on
amazing way.
there. So I shouldn't say it doesn't matter because me, I think every rock makes ripples, but
Sure.
I don't think that it has any major earth shattering consequences. But if I quit doing it because I want to meet somebody else's expectation of what right, me being the right way is, I will lose my authenticity bit by bit. And that I think happens in so many ways. And that's why when we talk about confidence, I think we're like, some people are predisposed to be self-destructive when they're not feeling confident. And some people are predisposed to be arrogant, and neither one is better or worse.
Sure.
It's just when we try to fake and be something we're not, that we kind of lose sight of our own story and honoring that.
Absolutely. Mm.
Yeah. I don't know. We knew when we went into this topic that it was going to be a little bit rambly, because it's a rambly kind of thing.
It is. And I think that's just what we wanted for today. We just wanted to take a topic, be curious about it, roll with the conversation, and hopefully it's created some intrigue and our friends listening. That was truly our why today. I mean, we were pretty
Oh,
specific with that.
I know. I
It's
know. Just the invitation to kind of ponder it, and like, well,
yeah.
what does that mean for me, and how would I unpack that? And yeah.
I love that. I think as you learn yourself more, which truly is our call to action today, is just for you, our friends listening, to define this word for yourself and get curious with you. And maybe at the root of it is what's your genuine self and what feels important to you as you're navigating so much new right now. We're in all these situations where there's a lot of new. And I think if people can be true to themselves and be open to others and keep it fluid and not have that, like that fixed mindset, but just be open as you're experiencing all these things, what's important to you, what's your genuine self, and just unpacking that for yourself a little bit.
Yeah. As we're growing into always who we are, um, I think there's lots of votes cast for who we should be.
Mm,
And as I have embraced my authenticity and I've felt that confidence build, I let my vote, my own personal vote for who I should be at least as loud as all the others. And I think that word picture helps me, because there's definitely, I'm a people pleaser by probably by habit and protection. I mean,
yeah.
it's not necessarily even something, I don't even say I'm a people pleaser by nature. I love people, but I'm not necessarily a people pleaser because that's how I think I love people. It's more of a defense mechanism.
Mm,
And I think that there's been a lot of people over the years and the times that we've gotten to spend in workshops with people who that they relate their own confidence to that wanting to make every how do I be confident and still have everybody get along, and still how do I be my authentic self and
yeah, for,
honor the organization.
for sure. Even like if you're in a really good space and you're feeling really good and you've got good stuff going and you go in a situation where there's a lot of hard,
Yes.
so still being true to you, protecting yourself, but yet showing up for people. I mean, there's so many situations like that.
Yeah, totally. I
Yeah.
think the stronger that we get as individuals, the more we get to give. And so, like,
Mm,
thinking about, I love that you had in mind our youth advisory conversation, because the crazy thing about the I Am Noticed Youth Advisory Board is that they're just people, just like we are. Amazing people in all caps,
they are.
but just people. And their perspective, and then the ripples that they make, what they go into their lives in all these different ways and all these different spaces. And when they were reflecting on um, whether or not it would be okay to be their authentic self in like a situation like you just described, like if everybody was in a hard space and they were trying to be positive or choosing to
Right.
use the tools, when they describe that, they can't help but describe it with gratitude for the people who have done that for them
Absolutely.
and been in a good space to lift them out of a bad space. It is really hard. And I know right now there's a lot of people really struggling. It is really hard to lift someone out of a low space when you're in a low space yourself. Not
Absolutely.
usually how it happens. So as we all get, I love your call to action for today. And my like, ooh, about that is if everybody gets, the stronger we all get as individuals. the stronger we get as a culture. And so the more confident we are as individuals, the more confident we can be in the world around us. And we so need that right now.
Oh, we so
Oh,
do.
so
And
good.
I think you said it in the very beginning, and I would love to reiterate it too with that, like, call to action is just encouraging people to be fluid and not stuck. You
Yeah.
know, stay in motion. And I think more than ever, that's going to be very crucial because there's so many unknowns and so many things that we're used to being pretty fixed and we can predict and we can count on them. And there's a lot of that is not in place. So the more we can stay open and move with those things, I think that's going to help our overall culture and our world just be more successful. And even that, we can unpack the word successful too. Maybe next time.
You just do like a whole series on unpacking words that we're supposed to know what they mean, but we don't.
What does that mean to be successful? Just to feel good, I guess. Just being in the good space.
It's interesting, I think, because certain words are thrown around really powerfully
Yeah.
without unpacking them. And then when you do, it's like, well, no wonder that's a powerful word. There's a lot to that, you know, but especially thinking about everyone's story being different. Maybe you didn't, your story didn't involve looking at authenticity. Maybe it didn't look at, there wasn't a lot of models for success or confidence, or maybe there was, but they're different than what you want them to be. And there's just, I love humanity. There's so many variables
I
there, and
know.
just being curious is so cool.
Being curious, and I love the idea of just everyone being genuine and their authentic selves, because I think we both just love people so much. That's just what we hope for. It's just love yourself, and like you mentioned earlier too, like taking good care of yourself, and all of that would be a part of this call to action and that
Yeah.
curiosity.
I sometimes feel like if you, we've gotten glimpses into this as speakers. Sometimes while we're speaking, people are taking notes and they grab random thoughts that you're like, oh, well, that wasn't even on the bullet list,
Right.
but that stuck. And so I kind of feel like that with this conversation today. Though it might feel like it was all over the place at sometimes, what I'm hopeful for is that it resonates with different people in different ways, just like authenticity does.
Absolutely.
And at the end of the day, I think I've got to be so confident. I mean, here, so my new goal for this year, and I say new, it's not new, it's just I articulated it, but is to be so confident that I could never feel like an imposter.
Ooh.
It doesn't mean that I feel like I'm going to be always right or perfect. As a matter of fact, I let that go, which is amazing. And when it comes back, I'm like, get out of here. You don't even fit.
Get out of here.
But I don't want to get blindsided by feeling like, oh, I'm not worthy of this space, or I'm acting this way, but it's not me. I'm over that. That's not going to work for me. It just doesn't feel good. So I'm going to put all caps on the
I
word
was gonna
amazing.
say, I celebrate that, and I think that's a great. I like your all amazing capital emphasis on that
Of
word.
course you do. That's why we like each other. You'd like it if I could capitalize all the good words. You wouldn't care. You'd love me no matter what.
Just shout it, girl. Shout it.
But here's the thing. Authentic me wants to connect with all people. And I know some people love all caps amazing and some people don't. And that's okay with me. I want to connect with both.
And that is okay. And I think, again, they have their story and they have reasons why they may not like that word to be yelled, but that's okay.
Well, Jamie, just for the record, I think you're amazing in all caps.
Thank you. Right back at ya.
Thanks.
Well, sweet friends, thank you for tuning in today. Hopefully you got curious with this topic and enjoyed the conversation, and we appreciate you. So check us out on all of our social channels. Keep us informed on you. We are very curious about you and love to hear from you. So stay connected.
Yeah, if you have an aha of what you think authentic means,
We want to hear it.
I want to hear it.
Thanks. You're amazing. You're amazing. We're all amazing.
Amazing. All caps.
Okay, bye you guys. Thanks.